If you're thinking of moving to Maryland, don't do it until you watch this video. I mean it. This is really important, guys. Moving to Maryland is a big decision, and there's lots of things that you need to know. So we're going to break it down for you. What's good, what's not so good, and why you should or shouldn't consider your move to Maryland. I'm John Benya with eXp Realty, and this is the Love Southern Maryland channel. So the first thing you need to know if you're considering moving to Maryland is bring all your clothes. And what I mean is the weather changes constantly. We get all 4 seasons and we get them strong. Here in Maryland, you're going to see snow, you're going to see lightning storms, you're going to see hail, you're going to see humid summers, cold, brisk winters, and everything in between. So if you like fall and spring, you're definitely going to get that too, but just be prepared. You're going to need your winter jacket when it comes to December and January timeframe here in Maryland. Now, if you're a fan of changing of the seasons, that's great, but let's talk about something that nobody's a fan of, and that's taxes. So Maryland is a highly taxed state. And what I mean by that is it's actually 3rd in the nation for individual income tax burden. That's really high, guys. In addition to your income tax and your sales tax, you're also going to have your property tax. Unfortunately, that's ranked 33rd in the nation. So it's not super high for the property taxes, but everything else you're gonna pay for. I kid you not, this state actually once had a tax on the rain. They will tax anything and everything that they possibly can here in Maryland. And speaking of property taxes, let's talk about the cost of living. Maryland is not a cheap state by any stretch of the imagination. Maryland's cost of living is 22% higher than the national average. And the cost of housing is actually 54% higher than the national average. So it's really getting up there with the cost of living and the cost of housing here in the state of Maryland. In addition, with interest rates having gone up so much in 2023, you'd think there would be a little bit of relief, but the fact is there isn't. Home prices, they went up 4.7% through August of 2023, and there's no relief in sight for that. So if you're thinking about buying a house, this might be the place to do it because houses continue to appreciate here even in a weak market. Now, the food scene here in Maryland, I'm going to be honest, it kind of leaves something to be desired. I'm a big foodie, and I'm going to tell you right now, there are no Michelin-starred restaurants in Maryland. If you're looking for that kind of culinary experience, you have to go to DC, where there's actually 23 Michelin-starred restaurants, and there's even one in Northern Virginia. But Maryland sadly got left out. But don't tell Marylanders that the food sucks here, because they will fight you to their dying breath. And specifically when it comes to seafood. Marylanders are notoriously proud of this Chesapeake Bay blue crab. And that is the absolute pinnacle of dining here in Maryland. Between steamed crabs and crab cakes, that is the meal that everybody brags about to all of their friends and visitors that are coming in from out of state. So if you're looking for a legit Maryland kind of meal, you're probably looking for steamed crabs or a crab cake with an orange crush, and there are literally tons of restaurants in and around Annapolis and Baltimore and sprinkled all throughout the Bay that are going to be serving up that sort of culinary experience. And don't forget, Marylanders are absolutely crazy about their Old Bay seasoning. It's something that is really unique to the Chesapeake Bay region, and people out here just absolutely love it. So much so that you'll see their favorite seasoning put on towels, on blankets, you name it. The advertising for Old Bay is absolutely on point. I've never seen a seasoning company that can advertise like they do, and people just eat it up. And speaking of advertising, there is nothing quite like the Maryland flag. People here in Maryland are super proud of the Maryland flag, and it's probably the most popular state flag out of all 50 states here in the U.S. It's not at all unusual to see people wearing the flag on their shoes, their socks, their jammies, their underwear, their shirts, you name it. Anywhere you look, you will see the Maryland flag proudly displayed throughout the state. What you don't see as much of is the sports teams being supported. Now, we do have several sports teams, most notably the Baltimore Ravens and the Baltimore Orioles. But we also have the Washington Commanders. Now, they may be Washington, D.C.'s football team, but their stadium is actually in Landover, Maryland. So traffic on game days on the Beltway can get pretty hectic because the stadium is right off the Beltway and it will jam the up. That being said, Orioles fans, they are a separate breed because they are true diehard fans. 2023 is the first year they've won a division since, I think, 1980. So they are immensely proud of what's going on here. But if you're an Orioles fan, you're used to the pain and suffering that comes with losing. And that is exactly what Marylanders have endured for so many years. And part of it is the stadium experience has a very, very wide range here in Maryland. If you want the best football experience in the country, these stadiums aren't it. In fact, I would actually venture to say that FedEx Field, where the Commanders play, is probably the worst stadium in the country for football. But my absolute favorite stadium for baseball in the entire nation, it's Baltimore. Camden Yards is an absolute national treasure. And recently, Baltimore fans just celebrated a 30-year extension with the team to keep the Orioles in Baltimore. And a big part of that is Camden Yards and the ambiance that that stadium has for the local fans. Now, we talked about all 4 seasons in Maryland, but one of the things we didn't mention is that Maryland is actually known as America in miniature. And that's because there's such a wide range of things to go and do and see here in Maryland. If you want to go hiking through the mountains, Maryland has it. You want to go water skiing or fishing, Maryland's got that too. So there's a lot of outdoor activities that you guys can partake in that are really fantastic, some really unique opportunities. Kayaking through the Ghost Fleet of Mallows Bay, for example, is an absolute experience. I love going out there. And of course, you can't talk about Maryland without talking about vacationing in Ocean City. Ocean City is a family-friendly beach town right on the Atlantic Ocean where you can go out, you can play mini golf, you can go fishing, you can walk the boardwalk, eat the Thrasher's fries, go to Trimper's Amusement Park. All of those things are available right there on the boardwalk, and it's a really fantastic getaway for people locally here in Maryland. Arguably, Maryland's biggest treasure is actually the Chesapeake Bay. Now, the city of Annapolis is right on the bay, and of course, the Bay Bridge is a famously high bridge that you have to cross over to get from the main part of Maryland to the eastern shore of Maryland. But the bay itself is such a rich, biodiverse community. It's where we get our crabs, it's where we get our fish, and there is plenty of fishing, wildlife, water sports, and in fact, there's even opportunities for local bike clubs, running clubs, and of course, the Ironman that's held every year over in Cambridge, Maryland. So that's it. That's my honest review of Maryland. I've lived here almost my entire life. I do love the area, but I'd love to know what you guys think. If you visited Maryland, you're thinking about moving here, what are your honest thoughts? What do you love? What do you not love? And what would you recommend to people who are moving into this area? Let me know in the comments below. I'm John Benya with eXp Realty, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic week.